The Texas Longhorns are making major moves in the transfer portal, and they're trending to be the nation's #1 team in 2025.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal news. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football writer and recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. A lot to get to today, and we're going to start off with the Texas Longhorns. They are doing a marvelous job, and the Longhorns are going to continue from based on what I got to share with you today. There's also no surprise here. Deion Sanders is getting it done again in the transfer portal, and I'm going to explain why, some of the reason they do it, and also ask a question about Deion and Colorado that I think some of you will enjoy. And then, no surprise, there's just a bevy of news throughout the transfer portal world. Teams are picking up players. Teams are losing players. There's some visits. There's some question marks. There's a lot to get to today on the Portal Podcast. So let's get started with the Texas Longhorns. Jack Endries, Cal tight end, has decided to transfer to the 40 acres. This is a big-time addition to Texas. The reason that I had them preseason #1 was based on what they had coming back, having Arch and having a very balanced roster. Didn't mean they were perfect, though. And this is why I applaud the Texas staff, back office, and everybody involved for what they've done. Texas, yeah, they recruit at an elite level. That's not in question. They just had the #1 class, in fact, for 2025. But you still have holes. You're not replacing Gunnar Helm with one player. The tight end's moved on. He's going to make some serious cash in this thing they call the National Football League, but now you have to replace it. You're probably going to have to do that by committee, and they've got some good players, but Helm was their guy. Jack Endries may not be Helm. I don't think he's quite as athletic, but here's what you need to know about him before we get on to a couple other players they're bringing in, and they're in contention for another key guy too. Jack Endries, tight end from Cal, 56 catches, 623 yards, 11.1 yards per reception last year, 2 touchdowns. But the best stats have nothing to do with the traditional ones. He had 1 drop all year. And out of the 61 targets, again, 56 ended up being receptions. Now, a shout out to Fernando Mendoza, the tight end at Cal, the quarterback at Cal. He's really good. He just transferred to Indiana. Very good football player. But their offensive line wasn't good. It just wasn't. Fernando Mendoza was running for his life quite a bit. And Endries knew that there was a very short amount of time he had to get open to create space. And he did it over and over. 91.8. 91.8. That is the percentage of the time when the ball was thrown his direction that he came down with it. Deflections, poor passes, just good defense. 91.8. If that doesn't say elite player, I'm not sure what does. Is he just an unbelievable athlete? No, he's not going to just kill you after the catch, but he makes the catch. He's a third down guy. He makes plays when it matters. He had 8 first down catches. And here's the other one. Contested catches. This is a great stat that Pro Football Focus really does a good job with. Basically, somebody's right there with you. It's a 50-50 ball. He had 12 catches in those scenarios. Jack Endries is big time, and this is an addition that you can't take lightly. We're going to break down some of their wide receiver and running back room here in a minute, but Jack Endries is an elite player. Texas, to me, is the preseason #1 by adding him, and I'll go into that more right now on why. You got Ryan Wingo coming back. Now, he only had 52.7% of the targets thrown his direction caught, but he was a freshman last year that's a deep ball threat. 29 catches, 472 yards, 16.3 and 2 scores as a freshman. He's your go-get-it guy. 6'2", 210. He can have a little lower number, but he's good. DeAndre Moore is the do-it-all. Really hard to figure out where he's going to line up, what he's going to do, how they're going to utilize him guy for Texas. he is the chess piece for Steve Sarkisian that I think the Horns will use the best because they've already done it. And Sarkisian is so good, especially on third down, as a play caller. DeAndre Moore, 6 foot, 195 pounds, 39 catches, 456 yards, 11.7 and 7 scores last year. Adding Jack Endries just means you're going to have to, I don't want to say go away from double covering anybody, but it's going to make it hard. Who you picking and why? Further, this kid does, I don't know why he didn't get more attention for this. Maybe I'm as guilty too, but Quintravion Wisner, Q is really good, man. 6 foot, 200 pounds, had over 1,000 yards rushing. But let's start with the receiving. 44 catches, 311 yards, 7.1 in a score. When you have a receiver out of the backfield like that, and you can be a 3-down back, that's valuable. Rushing stats, 226 carries, 1,060 yards, 4.7 and 5 scores. Remember, C.J. Baxter went down last year. Really tough injury. He's coming back. He's going to be the banger. 6'2", 210, 215. He's a power player, really durable guy. But Wisner was that guy last year. They've got other running backs too, and they've got a really talented room overall. Now you got a running back with experience, plus somebody that just has insane amount of talent, Baxter, in the same backfield rotating. Maybe they'll use them together some too. Who knows? Sark's certainly capable. That's not much fun either, in addition to what Arch is going to have at receiver and tight end. Again, Jack Endries is just an extra piece. They have an NFL player pretty much at every skill spot this fall. I mean, you can pick whoever you want to be preseason number one. Texas is my easy pick. Also, just want to throw out something here. Since we're talking portal, this is a question that I get asked a lot, and I'll go into it with Texas because this is a great example. Do players get mad when they're recruited, big-time player, they're going into their second year, and then somebody jumps them because that school takes an experienced player from the portal? Endries is a great example. Texas has plenty of other young tight ends. I get it. But you only get Arch Manning for 1, maybe 2 years. If Arch does really well this year, he might leave. Certainly could. And you've also got to strike while the iron's hot. They've built a balanced roster, but that doesn't mean it's perfect. Getting Endries is just a huge deal. They also get Mason Shipley, a kicker that's really good from Texas State. That's a hole. I know kicker, it's not a big deal. Yeah, it is. He had a really good year from beyond 40 and beyond 50 last year. Just as an example, he was 3 out of 4 from 40, and over 50, he was at 2 out of 3. They don't miss anything. Texas is killing it in the transfer portal. And just for future depth and a guy that's got some experience and talent, LaVon Johnson didn't play a ton, but he's 6'2", 310 pounds, played at Maryland last year. Another really good guy. So yes, Texas has all this talent, and at every position, you're going to have guys competing with you. But especially this year, I understand why they did it. So back to the question, do young players get mad about that? Sometimes they do. But the more important way to say it is, it changes per player and it changes per day. I talk to people around players, their parents, agents, etc. The portal isn't going anywhere because everybody's doing the same thing. Texas is no different than what Boise State would do, than what Florida State would do, than what Virginia Tech would do. It's the same across the country. You add pieces to your roster to make them better. Now, there might be individual circumstances with recruiting where a young man goes to Texas or pick another school, and they tell him, we're not going to use the portal barring some kind of this crazy rash of injuries. That's possible. But overall, especially for a team that's right on that cusp of winning a national title, yes, they're going to take a portal player to compete with you. If you don't want to compete, maybe a big-time Power 4 school is not for you. As for Texas, just to use an example, they're talking about possibly, from what I've heard, there's another guy that I kind of mentioned a little bit ago. It's going to be interesting. Keelan Marion, and I'll discuss him a little later in the show, but he's a good player from BYU that's in the portal. Texas might be involved. He's a receiver. But Texas, at the same time, you got Wingo, you got DeAndre Moore. Those are your two locks. Parker Livingstone is a guy that's supposed to be coming up the ranks, supposed to be a pretty good player. He may get quite a bit of run, maybe even compete for a starting job. You got Aaron Butler, redshirt freshman that's talented, and you don't have one, not two, not three, but four guys they brought in that are big-time recruits at receiver. Would one of them be upset if you brought in Keelan Marion or somebody else? Possibly. But again, this is Texas. That's par for the course. And unless they told these guys 100%, we're not going to bring somebody in from the portal, this is the portal era. So be careful what you ask for. And I'm not talking about just the Texas guys, but you have to be careful what you think you're going to get compared to what's reality. They're trying to win a title. And again, Arch Manning's going to be their one tops 2 years because he's got 2 years eligibility that really matter. He's not coming back for that 50. I know he's got a redshirt year. He's never going to see a fifth year. There's no way you can't take your shot and get guys like Jack Endries and Cal or get a big-time receiver if you can. That's just the nature of it. And I know players get mad if you lose somebody. Remember, if you're a fan of whatever school it may be, Texas, Cal, or anybody else, players pick coaches and they pick themselves, meaning playing time and opportunity. That's just the way that is, and it's been that way since before the portal, to be honest with you. But it is here, and you've got to adjust or you die. Speaking of which, somebody that's done an incredible job of adjusting is Deion Sanders in leading the Colorado Buffaloes. They're not just good at the portal, they are the portal kings. We're going to explain why they've done something to keep a player, and also we're going to talk about a guy they just brought in, and it's the new trend on how to win with the portal. That is next here on the Portal Podcast. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll talk to a real person. And trade-free pros are looking for an extra edge. Those people, well, you can get your free Trade Master program, offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it is your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That is supplyhouse.com. Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes, they don't miss many opportunities with the transfer portal, and they are the portal kings. And they're also my pick to win the Big 12 because of that and how they've started to kind of cement a little bit of a culture, something I didn't think they could really do that well, but they've improved high school recruiting, and they've also got some guys that could have left that are sticking. By the way, as a little shout out, this was a hilarious video on X and everywhere else you want to look to find it. But Deion called out Virginia flat out about trying to steal his players. I don't know which kid or kids it was, but it's pretty funny. Go look for it. It was pretty good. But the player that he just picked up is a testament to how it gets done in the portal in this era. It's not former five-star busts. It's players that went, regardless of where, and have proven it. Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes have taken a lot of guys that weren't necessarily elite coming out of high school, added them to their roster, and they've made it work. Now, they've taken guys from P4 schools too, plenty of them. But to really build their roster through the portal, they found guys that are under the radar. And this is a great example of it. When you think about the beacon of college football, do you think about the opportunity to go to Illinois State? No. Nothing against the Redbirds, but it's not. But Teion Parks figured it out. A 6'1", 185-pound cornerback. He started 7 of 14 games last year, just starting to kind of blossom. Defensive grade, per Pro Football Focus, 80.1. Run defense, 66.3. Tackling, 68.6. And coverage, 81.2. Again, he's got a little bit of size, 6'1", 185. That's a good sign. And he's durable. I say this all the time. He played in 14 games, started 729 snaps. He is durable. So he only allowed 10.1 yards per reception, and only 17 of the 45 passes that came to his man were caught. That's 37.8%. 32 tackles, 8 stops, forced fumble, a pick, and 11 passes defended. Pretty good. If you can find guys like that out of the portal that fit, that's important. Colorado was 40th in the nation last year in pass defense, but they had Travis Hunter. I had the pleasure of seeing Allen Iverson play basketball in high school. He's still probably the twitchiest guy I've ever seen. Travis is right there next to him, though. Like, those would be the two that I think stand out. You're losing him. You're not going to do it by one guy. I mean, realistically, come on. It's Travis Hunter. There's a reason he won the Heisman. But getting not just a good player, a great player at his level that's ready to take that challenge of moving up, that's a good sign. So Parks is the first guy. But they also did something else that this is the other new trend, and Colorado's gotten in on it from what's been said. Jay Gardenhire, he was set to leave. They're keeping him. Offensive tackles are a premium. They're always a premium. And he's 6'8", 380, by the way. That's a big boy. Colorado needed better offensive line in year one, to say the least. They struggled. They got a lot better last year. They had a Jordan Seaton. They're bringing in Xavier Hill from Memphis. They're keeping some guys. They're building some culture in Boulder. Deion Sanders and his staff, including the back office, don't forget about those folks. I'd love to ask them something. How do you, A, find these guys like Parks? What makes them stand out to you and make you go after them? And B, how do you rework things when a guy's ready to leave and keep him in the fold? I'd love to ask Deion that. And to be honest, I'd really rather ask the back office staff, whoever's, I don't know what they call it, but whoever is handling the portal contracts and all that, what is the signature moment that gets you to want to keep a guy, to make an extra offer, NIL, whatever it is. I don't know what they're doing, but it's working, and their roster is getting better. Props to Colorado. I think they're doing a heck of a job. Now, just kind of looking around college football, just as a note, I don't know if it was Thursday or Friday, but there was a day that somebody reported over 1,000 players in one day entered the transfer portal. Let that sink in. With that being in mind, I have some guys to discuss here, and you can take it for whatever you want, but I had to reduce it down to at least some of the big names, and I probably missed some. There's so many. There's going to be a lot of work to just get one podcast in because it's nationwide. Guy I mentioned earlier, I want to go back to him because Texas might be where his landing spot is, but he's good. Keelan Marion, Brigham Young, receiver, 6', 195. BYU doesn't play guys that don't know what they're doing. They got a good staff. He played 457 snaps last year, 24 catches, 346 yards, 14.4, and a score. And he's a return guy. 18 returns last year, a couple of them for scores. That adds value. So Keelan Marion, I mean, he's got offers all over the place. If you go check it out on Instagram or wherever you want to go look, really talented player. Curious to see where he goes because he could be that extra piece at any number of schools and help them get over the top. Troy, this is an interesting situation. Arkansas gets 2 players. This is the first of 2, but Philip Lee from Troy, talking about G5, FCS kids, this is a good football player. Congrats to Arkansas. Philip Lee had 394 snaps last year, started 10 out of 12 games, 28 tackles, 21 pressures, 4 sacks, and 17 stops, meaning a play at or near the line of scrimmage. Defensive grade 75, run defense 63.1, tackling 60.4, pass rush. This is really impressive. 77.5. That's pretty darn good. But even more impressive, Philip Lee, 83.5 in coverage. He's an outside linebacker / pass rusher. He didn't drop all the time, but that's really good. Like most outside linebackers can't do that. Congrats to him. To stick with the theme of Arkansas, and it's a really unique situation, Julian Neal, the corner that was at Fresno State, transferred to Stanford, and of course, the whole debacle with their coaching staff situation at the head man. He's headed to Arkansas too. So Fresno State to Stanford and now Arkansas. 2024, 548 snaps, started 4 of 12 games, 39 tackles, a sack, 2 picks. Defensive grades at Fresno State for Julian Neal were 70.3, run defense 78, tackling 63.8 and covered 67.1. Arkansas gets Julie Neal. Really good addition to their program. They got two good guys, so hats off to them. When we come back, we're going to continue on. I still have plenty more to talk about here. Ole Miss has got some interesting stuff going on. We're going to talk a little bit about a key pickup for the Oklahoma State Cowboys and more transfer portal news here on the Portal Podcast. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's an electric arena during the playoffs. And with Game Time, you can be a part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off grows closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. With Game Time's last-minute deals, you can save off 60%, and that doesn't just include NBA playoff games. That could be football, baseball, or any other sport, and a concert, a comedy, a play, something at a theater, whatever you want. And there's also the opportunity for all-in pricing. What you see at the front is what you get at the back. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Ole Miss got in on the action, and they also got in on the action, just like with Arkansas, not once, but twice. Ricky Fletcher, this is another great example. I love these, if you haven't already seen my trend here, of taking a G5 guy that's ready to make the step up. He's got the measurables, that's for sure. 6'3", 197-pound corner. Those do not grow on trees. He set out this past season, but in 2023, started all 13 games for South Alabama, 773 snaps. That is durability. 43 tackles, 10 stops, 51.3% of the passes thrown his way were caught. So that's pretty good. Defensive grade, 64.3. Rush defense, 68. Tackling, 62.7. And pass defense, 63.7 for Ricky Fletcher. And he's a guy that has the ability to come in and play in a secondary that probably needed some help. Like, that was the one thing that Stephen and I talked about. Stephen Willis runs Locked On Ole Miss, and I've been helping him with his show here lately while he's out with some medical stuff. And we're talking about this right before he left. Like, he said, secondary is probably they could use the most help, Ryan. Well, they went and met a need. And again, they're doing it with a player that's not a P4 kid, but he's got proven production and proven durability. This is the trend in college football with the transfer portal. Did you produce? There are some exceptions. A guy that was elite, that redshirted, just wants to come closer to home or whatever. Okay, those are fine. But this is another example with Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. Did the guy produce? If you did, come on down. The other guy they got is somebody that played a little bit, but he got thrown to the Wolves. Maryland offensive tackle transfer is headed to Ole Miss. Terez Davis. In 2024, he played 292 snaps, of which 204 were at left tackle. True freshman in the Big Ten. That's rough, man. That is rough. 54.5 offensive grade, 51.8 for pass protection, and 54 for run blocking. Obviously not optimum. Those are below average. But he was a freshman, and he's 6'4", 300 pounds. Athleticism, durability, and he took on the challenge of playing left tackle as a true freshman. Yes, that will draw interest from other schools. Terez Davis to Ole Miss, come on down. Congratulations. Speaking of big guys, Oklahoma State grabs an SEC player, somebody that had some production there as well. Demarion Thomas heads to Oklahoma State from Vanderbilt, 6'2", 335. That is a big dude. As a junior, or he will be a junior, but he started 13 games last year, 394 snaps. So again, proven. He had 12 stops. He's a run stuffer. Oklahoma State usually needs more defensive help than offensive help. Congrats to Mr. Gundy and all the guys in Stillwater. That is a very good addition. Here's a guy that I don't know where he's going, but he's going to command a lot of attention. A.J. Hulsey, safety, 6 foot, 215 pounds out of Houston. He is a dude. 74 tackles, 5 picks, 13 passes defended, and 18 stops last year. He's a guy. He is in the portal. He originally is from New Mexico, played the last 2 at Houston, and now he's got another year left. In 2024, 703 snaps, again, durability, 12 out of 12 starts, only gave up 9.9 yards per reception. Defensive grade, this is a good sign too. 80.5 for A.J. Halsey transferring to whatever school gets him. Yeah, they're going to be happy about that. Run defense, 73.5, tackling 67.4. Check out this coverage grade, 85.5 for A.J. Halsey. That is what you're looking for. And he's a 6 foot, 215-pound safety, had 18 stops. So he's physical. Good player. Defensive lineman, this might be the most interesting left in the portal right now, other than maybe Stone that just left Oklahoma yesterday. Murad Watson. There aren't enough defensive tackles in college football. We know that. 6'3", 313 pounds. But check this out. According to Pro Football Focus, Murad Watson played defensive end, defensive tackle, and nose tackle. So he moved between the three spots as a true freshman. Started 11 of 13 ball games for the Syracuse Orange. Played 493 snaps. That's too many, by the way, for a defensive lineman. He had to play more than he should. 27 tackles. He had 10 pressures. He had a sack. He had 15 stops. And he's a freshman. He's out of New Jersey. He's a kid that was recruited, but not heavily. And he proved people wrong. Now he's in the portal, and he's got all kinds of opportunities, among many other. Some of the schools reported with him are Tennessee, Georgia, Ohio State, and Texas. But you can't teach size. And there's always a need for defensive tackles. That's not going to change. Murad Watson is a big-time opportunist here because he's got 3 years of eligibility left, and he's a guy that plays a critical spot. There aren't hardly any good D tackles that get in the portal. Now, I just mentioned Stone's in the portal from Oklahoma. He was a freshman as well, highly recruited kid. I was a little surprised by that. So it's shocking. Right now, there's not one, but there's two. That's going to be interesting. Defensive grades for Murad Watson, 65.1 overall. Rush defense, 77.4 for a freshman. Murad Watson also had a tackling grade of 58.6 and pass rush of 58.2. So he's a run stuffer. Again, he's 6'3", 313 pounds. Murad Watson out of Syracuse is in the portal. And that is a really, really interesting scenario. If he goes, I talked about Texas today. If he goes to Texas, they lost some talent, but they lose talent every year on the D-line and they reload. They add somebody like that. I mean, that just helps solidify my pick for them to be preseason number one. We'll see how that goes, but that's a really, really good football player. I'm probably going to have more news coming up on different transfers later today or early in the morning. But before I leave today, I want to make a note. I've talked quite a bit about Tennessee's quarterback position, and there's a podcast that I'm getting ready to do later today, actually. It'll either be out today or, again, in the morning, talking about Tennessee needing to find somebody. They're in a bad spot. They're in a bad spot. And there's a report from the Fort Worth Telegram discussing how they're going after the quarterback at TCU. Now, I don't know all the details. I don't know this kid. I've never met him. But according to On3, and the writer is Chandler Vessels, TC quarterback Josh Hoover was turned down an offer from Tennessee that not only would have been $1 million, but granted him a $1 million raise to whatever he was making at TCU. That's a lot of money because he was probably making pretty close to $1 million himself, I'm guessing. So he's going to stay with the Horned Frogs, excuse me. Some people are going to say, Tennessee's trying to go get a quarterback. Look, I get it. There's tampering everywhere, and this is par for the course. I just want to mention, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in one of my upcoming podcasts. It'll be out in the next 24 hours. This is a trend where you got to look at the circumstance, like what's Tennessee going to do? That's a really unique scenario. I'm going to explain it in detail, lead off my next podcast here on the Portal Podcast about it. But portal tampering, sometimes I don't know what other option you would do because without Nico there, they don't have any quarterback and they got a really good roster. They're in a tough, tough spot. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in and get all your latest recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal news. We will be back again very soon. Please hit that like button, that thumbs up, that notification bell, subscribe, and give us a 5-star review if you're on Apple, Spotify, Podbean, wherever you are. Truly appreciate it. We will see you again soon here on the Portal Podcast.